Good morning, everyone. TI Dave. I'm here with Onionhead Andrew, and today we're gonna show how to build a wearable. Ain't it a wearable?
Yeah, for EMF. Yep,
Yeah,
EMF
for
protection.
EMF weapons, and I'm going to answer a few questions that was asked. And we're just going to really freestyle this, but at the same time be quick and to the point about what we came on to do today. And I'm kind of I guess I didn't give people enough time to ask questions. But Andrew, one question it says, "Hi, Dave and Holly. Has Andrew ever had any success or even tried using mirrors as shielding? I have a story that I don't have time that suggests mirrors could help." And then this other person chimed in and said, I heard years ago old lead-backed mirrors will bounce the beams right back at them. One day I was visiting someone that was targeted, and they had a visitor mention he had a laser in his bag. I mentioned that I had a big lead-backed mirror and would be bouncing that BS right back, and the look on his face told me there's something to it. From your research, is there?
Yes, 100%. Uh, this is now that I'll talk specifically about mirrors and then I'll bring up the thing behind it, okay? Mirrors create a magnetic field right next to them. So what that does is when there's light, light is electricity, all right? That's out there for most people, but it's a very, very high voltage, very, very low current electricity. So very high voltage, very low current, that's what light is. When that interacts with a reflective surface, it well, first of all, it redirects itself like you think, but in the general area, it creates a magnetic field. So that you can utilize that magnetic field for a variety of things. If you have that close to you, like if you had a mirror on your skin and you were using it as that like a shielding layer, it would only make things worse. But if you had the mirror in between you and whatever was interacting with you, it could potentially help if the field that was hitting you was magnetic. Okay, so what's the theory behind what I just said? It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's really not. All right, it's going to be complicated the first time you hear it. There is magnetic over here. There is electrostatic over here. Right in the middle is neutral. Sorry for the people with the hand signal thing. I use my hands to talk. It's important you guys understand this. Magnetic, electrostatic, neutral. When you're being attacked with either magnetic weapons, electrostatic weapons, or the combination of both we call electricity. That's what electricity is. When those two fields interact with each other synergistically, they move in a double helix. Literally, that's what DNA is. It's these two forces. I don't want to get too esoteric on this, but it moves in a double helix. We call that double helix electricity. Okay? It's as simple as that. Magnetic, electrostatic, and electricity. So or neutral, excuse me, and the combination of the two is electricity. So there's only four forces we're ever dealing with. I'll say this one more time. I'm sorry for being repetitive. Magnetic is one force. Electrostatic is one force. Remember, magnetic, electrostatic. Right in the middle, it's neutral. That's what like grounding something is neutral. And when those two electrostatic and magnetic work together, they form that double helix. That's what we call electricity. So there's only four things we're dealing with ever. Okay. Um, the mirror deals with the magnetic. All right. But there are, like I said, when you're talking about shielding, if you think about it as blocking something, then you're never gonna get results because they can tune up and tune down the frequencies they attack you with. They attack us with extremely low frequency, ultra low frequency, very low frequency, radio waves, microwaves, visible light spectrum, just out of the visible light spectrum, gamma rays, and then even potentially
Ultrasound.
ultrasound. Thank you. X rays potentially in a given situations. That's a little bit harder to do. but they attack us. Yeah, ultrasonic weapons, that's a good one. They attack us with the full weaponized electromagnetic spectrum because the guys that developed this at Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and all that, Northrop Grumman, they've been doing this for the last 90 years before World War II. And then after World War II, it took off and they built all these different weapon systems. So there's no, you can't say like, I can't say like, take a mirror and a piece of lead and it will block everything. They're just tune around it. They'll just tune up or down around it.
Right. Now I'm convinced they can attack you. They can track you and attack you by DNA, heterodyning, like the brain signals. I'm also convinced that and they can track you by your heartbeat, like but Andrew don't seem to think like me, but we're very open-minded, and that's why I'm willing to listen to him and try what he's.
Okay, so let me jump in there because it's not that we disagree about the a lot of the capacity that much. There is some disagreement, but it's not that much. The I believe that a lot of these directed energy weapons, as has been proven for a long time, work like some sort of radar. They put energy out and they measure it coming back. And with that capacity, you could get all sorts of crazy stuff. Like you were saying, potential blood flow, like heart rate stuff, uh, blood pressure stuff. I mean, all sorts of shit, right? I don't know. I'm not one of these people doing these things. I do not think that what we're experiencing is just because of that. I think that plays a part, the tracking, the surveillance, the biometrics. I think that plays a big part. But I think the reason it hurts so bad, the reason they can cause organ failure, like to specific outcomes, the reason they can heat up certain parts of your brain, I'm positive, I'm going to say positive, 99.9% sure. It's because there's conductive material in your body allowing their directed energy weapons to resonate with that material.
Right.
When they resonate with your body without that stuff present, you can feel it. It's different. It feels like a vibration similar to like wind passing over your skin. If you could imagine that feeling through your body, that's what it feels like when the conductive material is not there. So I don't think
Right.
we're that different. It's
Well,
just
see,
that.
I think a lot of it's done by graphene too, and not just
Yep.
nano.
Yep. Well,
And
so
preservatives in food started it. It's what from my research, it started with preservatives in the
yes,
food.
exactly. Exactly. It goes back to the iron in the bread, like 1905 or something. They've been experimenting with this stuff. But you were telling right before we recorded, you were talking about scents, like things you were smelling. You want to talk about that? Is that fine?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like it's just like
Yeah,
weird, like
please. Yeah,
nothing. It's just unless somebody was burning it's like a horrible somebody set a spool of copper on fire to burn the plastic. You
yeah,
see what I'm saying? To burn
yeah,
the
yeah.
throw it in a barrel and try to burn the plastic off to have the copper or something. Like it's just horrible smell. It's been in the sky, man. Like the last, I would say 3 weeks. Like,
Okay. And you were saying
and it never
you had
happened.
to you had to close the windows
Oh yeah.
because it felt like it was kind of following you around,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, that what that smell is the them covering up the nanoparticulate they're releasing in your environment. All right, they can use any cover scent that is best designed. Here, what they were doing at my house a few years ago is they were using garlic salt. That's all they were using the scent to cover it up was garlic salt because I lived with a person that often cooked with garlic salt, right? So it made sense for them. They could, because they would go out in their houses that are pretty close to where I live. They're always pretty close to where you live. And they would smell the person I lived with cooking and they would go, okay, that's the scent we'll use, right? But now they use, excuse me, dog poop. This is what they do because I have a dog and he goes out and he poops. And sometimes it smells. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they'll use whatever scent. And plus, dog poop, it's like the idea that I'm smelling excuse me, poop smell is like kind of fun for them, you know,
But
because
how
that's
do you
how
know
they
that's
are.
what they're doing to cover that up? Why wouldn't they just?
Because this is great. This is what you felt too, I'm sure. I'm not going to talk for you, let you talk about it yourself. But when you smell it, shortly thereafter, you get symptoms.
Like nausea,
Lightheaded. Yep,
yeah,
exactly. That's how
vertigo.
you know it's not just the scent. It's the scent is being used to cover up the other thing. They do this to everybody. Now, you were also stating that before you had crap in your sewers. You want to talk about that for a second?
Oh yeah, like this film would like if you go to the bathroom, I mean it wouldn't come out when you turn the sink on, but if you rub your finger up against the sink, this black stuff will come out, slimy stuff, like up against
Out of the drain.
the screen, all the
Uh,
screens in the whole house. This black slimy stuff is stuck to the screens. Now it
when you
stopped. It has stopped, but for like a year straight, it was in every bathroom.
was it the drains and the faucet or the faucet?
Yep.
The drains and the faucet? Okay, so there's two things there. I'll stick on the sewer thing just to stay relevant to what we're
And we got
talking about.
copper pipes.
Yeah, well, there's a point. The I've seen them do this. This is not me guessing. I'll go there first. When these water checkers that work for the county come by, they'll have a spray bottle in their hand. All right. What they do is they spray this corrosive agent that leaches through your main water supply and poisons your water specifically. That chemical agent they spray on your water main, okay, they do that to your whole neighborhood at once. So they'll spray even their own places because they're dual stage weapons. So they'll drink this water and stuff and be fine. That's not the main thing though. The main thing, well, they won't be fine. They've got this chemicals in their body. It's still causing all sorts of illness. But the main thing here is that before you were smelling in the air, right? Before the burning smell, what the main thing they would do is they would utilize the sewer to release vapors that were the same thing. These vapors, these scents, all of it, what it is, it's chemtrail like particulate. All right. So this is about the same thing that they're spraying on the skies above us. It's got chemicals, heavy metals, other things like graphene, stuff like that. It's got nano machinery and smart dust, and it's got these nano walkers and glue. All right. It's those five things mostly. I'll say it again. That's what's in the vapors coming up from people's sewers and being released around them. It's heavy metals, synthetic heavy metals like graphene, that type of thing, whatever, however you want to. It's not quite a synthetic, but you get what I'm saying. Chemical compounds like pesticides, herbicides, that type of thing, because those are all dual use weapons. Roundup, for example, is a dual use weapon they often release around people. They'll spray your stuff with Roundup during break ins. But so, okay. Sorry, I get ahead of myself. Uh, Heavy metals, synthetic heavy metals, chemical compounds, nanomachinery, smart dust, and nano walkers, which is like nanobots. They'll be in the glue. They'll be like in a little glue. All right. The first four are the most common. The fifth one they'll do, but not as often because it's much more dangerous for them to release these little bots. They're called nano walkers. Look it up if you want to know. But you breathe this stuff in, and it becomes this plaque in your body, on your lungs, through your blood, in your GI. It creates a conductive pathways for the directed energy weapons to access. So back to where we got off, where like me and Dave have a difference of opinion. The only real thing that we differ on is that I think what Dave's saying is mostly true. Like the DNA resonance thing, I'm not quite sure about, but who knows? Who cares? The next level, I think that there's another layer on top of that. And it's what's these aerosols and this, it's in our food too. It's in everything. It's in the air, the food, and it's being released around us. My throat's burning right now because these people have been releasing this stuff nonstop, forever now, but really bad in the last 12 hours.
So would a good water filter help?
Um, I don't know about the water supply part of it. Here's what I do. I buy my water. I don't ever use my tap water. Never, because of what they're doing to the municipal supply and then what I've seen them do to these pipes. Nobody here, my family makes sure I make sure nobody drinks the water here. If you want symptoms right now, go ahead, get yourself a nice big glass of water, tap water, and drink it up. See what
Well, see, we
happens
got
to
a
you.
water filter that
Uh-huh.
is supposed to, it's got these little cartridges and it's supposed to
Uh-huh.
be filtering it through.
Well, I hope it is. But when I get my water, I do it quick. I go to some random gas station because I live in a pretty good sized city and I just grab a few jugs of water at a time.
Right.
And it's still got crap in it because of the food supply and whatnot, but it's got way, way, way less in it than your municipal tap water into your house. They literally, I've seen these guys. I know many times I've seen these guys do this. When they're checking your meter, they'll have a spray bottle. You'll see it eventually. Now that I've said, someone here has seen this. They will be listening to this conversation. They'll lift up the meter, they'll spray it. They won't even check it. They'll just spray all that as much as real quick, put it down, move on. They'll do it to the next house, next house. But they'll only do it to your neighborhood. You see these same people operate in a different neighborhood, they don't have the spray bottle. The spray bottle is just to spray that shit on it. Excuse my language. Can't stand these people, man. I can't stand what they're doing to society, man. They're poisoning themselves. Anyways, I'm not gonna rant. Sorry.
Did you know, somebody sent me something where they got this thing, that will go all, this little robot that'll go all the way in your kidney and destroy stones. Now let's watch what we're talking about because of medical, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I
I
just
don't
got
know.
sent this like right before I logged on.
Yeah, yeah, don't talk about it because I know they give YouTube gives medical strikes on nothing. I had to do one of their classes on how to stay compliant. And
Yeah,
basically
so
what the class taught me about YouTube's medical misinformation is if it's not talked about uh, in the universities and the doctors, you're not allowed to say it.
right.
That's just how YouTube is. You could be totally right about something. That's one of the things that popped up on their questionnaire was like, you have a blank injury. If you talk about, I can't even say what the question was, and they'll block the video. If you talk about blank injury, is that acceptable? The answer was no. You couldn't talk about it because it was a blank injury, and blank injuries don't exist because university people say blank injuries don't exist. You know,
Plus, you can always
extrapolate
put the
rules.
disclaimer, we're not doctors, we're not,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
They'll still give
Huh?
you the they'll still give you the strike
Oh,
just just because
well, they must have changed their policies.
they did.
Because
I
back in
just
the
went
day, you
through.
could just put a disclaimer and or mention that you wasn't a doctor and you wasn't giving medical advice. You're just talking about your experience. You can't do that no more?
No, I just went through their
Oh,
training.
wow.
Yeah, so you really can't talk about on YouTube about anything heavy like that. But we can talk about nanomachinery because it's commonly talked about in the universities. We just can't go, down the rabbit hole of what put this in your body, but use your brain. I would say this: food, air, and water.
Yeah. I'm trying to see these other questions. Uh, oh yeah, somebody ask him why it would benefit us to ionize our environment due to the fact that this weapon can use that to heat it.
Well, I think they might be going off something I said a long time ago with the copper fan, right?
Uh-huh.
That was before I understood the whole magnetic and electrostatic. Um, when you when you create electrostatic fields in your environment, because that's what that copper fan spinning the copper does. This ceiling fan right now, you see
Uh-huh.
there, that's got copper spinning on it. Okay, so I'm not just saying these things, I practice them. It creates an electrostatic field that will help your environment and you passively. So it's not about ionizing so much as it is electrostatic and magnetic. But most people have no idea what I'm talking about when I say that.
Right. I'm gonna see if I got this video because this dude made this chemtrail buster, and I want you to give your advice on it if I can find it. But I should be right here with it. It won't take but 1 second to show. But
Okay. By the way, if you want to understand more about what I'm saying about electrostatic Another word for electrostatic is dielectric. Electrostatic, dielectric, magnetic fields, like the
Uh-huh.
preponderance. If you want to understand more, look up Ken Wheeler or Kenneth Wheeler. He's got a YouTube channel. Uh, it's a physics model that Tesla believed in, not even believed in. They literally built everything using this model. All those guys back then, they all knew it was real. If you want to understand how you're being targeted, the physics of it, look up that. Look up Kenneth Wheeler and that YouTube channel. It's called Theoria Aposphia. He's got books and articles. You could learn it all within a week if you dedicated yourself. And then within a month, you would understand what it feels like to be attacked with a magnetic weapon versus an electrostatic weapon.
Oh,
And then the
neat. And
combination
Kenneth
of both.
Wheeler?
Yeah, Kenneth Wheeler.
I'm gonna type that real quick.
Yeah, Dave, you could learn it really quick, especially if you go on my Rumble and look up the stuff specific to targeting. You'll be able to feel it. You won't learn it. You'll be able to know it at the skin level. You'll be able to feel it in your cells. This physics is real, man. I've been using it now for a long time,
Right.
a year, give or take, and I can do all sorts of amazing things from the grace of God to block and help people. And that's what we're going to do here in a little bit. Is we're going to go over how to make a really easy wearable. But I figured this out by learning the physics and then feeling the physics in my body, feeling how these things interact with
Yeah, I might not be able to find it anyway. It was a chemtrail thing, but man, it was very sophisticated. But it looked easy to make at the same time, but I can't find it, man. So anyway,
me. This is a chemtrail buster.
yeah.
Yeah, it works. It doesn't when once they figured out I was doing it, they just started spraying like 10 times heavier just over my house, which they already were. It still breaks it up, but it just has it's more difficult for it to break all of it up, but it still breaks it up.
I don't know how I got lost. I used to be able to go, I went right to it the other day.
Hey,
Um,
let's get into that wearable real quick, and then we can keep going. Excuse me, we can keep going through the questions, if you've got any more.
yeah,
But I
there's a
want
couple. Man, that's
okay,
crazy. You know how they do. I really
yeah.
wanted your advice on that, but looks like they're not gonna. Oh, it mail went through. Nah, never mind. I'm gonna give
It's
up.
okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna send it to you if I can find it because
All
I
right.
really wanted to build one of them. They got this bad these copper bars with over this bed with these crystals and in this stuff, this Faraday cage, and it's grounded. I could show that one. I've showed it on. I'll ask you about it some other time. I'd like to know how to get the crystals they got, and it's like got crystals at the base of all, and it's this big pyramid that goes over the bed, and in
Uh,
the middle,
uh,
it's got this big piece of quartz crystal. You think that would work?
it would definitely help, but because you're targeted, you're doing this thing on very hard difficulty. The people that built that quartz crystal bed are doing it on medium or easy, like regular
Right.
people. So we've got to do things more efficiently than them.
Oh,
We've
will
got to
you
be
explain
able
to them
to wear
real
it,
quick
you
before
know.
we start? There's different things you got to do. You got to do the garlic, keep your body clean. Um,
Well, this goes into the what I've been teaching people on the classes. I have a class every week. It's Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on free conference call. But this is what I call the paradigm, and it involves these three steps. Uh, Here's the steps. One, deactivating implants. When I talk about implants, I think people get this fantastic idea of implants because they're out there. These big, ones that you can see in x-rays and sonograms, all that type of thing that we get during surgeries or bad dentist trips. And I mean, lots of us have these. I'm not saying they're not out there, they're out there. The more common implant they're so, I mean, calling them an implant is really doing a disservice to what they are. They're so small. They're like 1/100th of the size of a hair follicle or something like that. and they can get into you so many different ways. You can get poisoned, like they can be put in your food, and then you eat the food, and then potentially they can lodge themselves, in different places of your body. They can, uh, you can get during break-ins. I know a lot of survivors face this is they get break-ins and they wake up with needle marks. A lot of the time, those needle marks have this stuff in it, but in a high, see, I can't even, in a chemical format. It's not what you think of when you think of implants. But what these things are doing, these implants, for lack of a better term, is they're converting one electrostatic energy or magnetic energy into electrostatic energy in your body. Doesn't matter. You don't need to understand that. You deactivate them. Do I have it? Usually I have it right here. No, I don't have it right here, of course. With the stun gun EMP. The stun gun EMP deactivates these implants. And again, it's not what people think. It's like these things are so, so small and they can get into you so many different ways. A lot of the times, the human traffickers, the contractors in your area, this is one of the things they're facilitating. The implants and the aerosols. That's like their main job, is making sure you're always breathing these aerosols, of course, aiming the weapon systems, and then implanting you when they need the more specific outcomes in specific parts of your body. And again, these implants are not what people think they are. Okay. So, number one, deactivating implants with the EMP stun gun. Dave's got one. I've got one. Whatever. It's somewhere around. You can go back and look at it. I can get it later if you want.
Mine's right here.
Okay. Thank you. Number two, the second part of this is what we're doing today here, using wearables to uh, equalize the magnetic charges that you're being attacked with. Okay, Dave's showing his stun gun
Uh,
right now. It's just the back screen.
I know. I wish this background, man.
There it is. We see it. Great.
Yeah.
There it is. It's as simple as that. It's wire, stun gun. We've gone over it before. Cardboard, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The second thing is what we're doing today, building wearables to take to neutralize the effect of the directed energy weapons. All right. Because the first step was just for the implants. The second step, you're still, like Dave was saying earlier, you're still being bombarded with directed energy weapons. You're still being attacked. Right. You've got to deal with that in one of three ways: with magnetic fields, if you're being attacked with electrostatic over here, magnetic over here. If you're being attacked with electrostatic, you neutralize it with magnetic, neutralize. If you're being attacked with magnetic over here, you neutralize it with electrostatic, neutralized. There is another way too. It's utilizing low amounts of electricity to break up the conductive pathways throughout your body. Okay. So there's three ways: magnetic fields, electrostatic fields, and electricity, which is the combination of both working together. Okay. And that double helix doesn't really matter that much. That's the second step, building wearables to deal with the directed energy weapons. The third step, what Dave was talking about, is detoxing heavy metals, nanomachinery, all that stuff that builds up in your body. Eating garlic, eating alkaline, fasting, dry fasting is very good. Charcoal is very good. I've been using charcoal. But just generally speaking, you want to keep a fast GI and you want to be as physically active as your life allows. The more physically active, the more you're sweating. There's many things that help with that: red lights, saunas, blah, 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 blah. So much, right? The more physically active you can be, the more raw fruits and vegetables that are clean, keyword clean, that you can eat, all the much better you'll be. Those are the three steps: deactivating implants, building and utilizing wearables for the directed energy weapons, and detoxing nanomachinery and heavy metals and conductive stuff. That's the three things every target, if they do, every survivor. I hate that targeted individual. I hate that. Every survivor, because that's not what we are. We are survivors of neural weapons, human trafficking. All right. There are people on the ground that are doing this to you. This isn't being done by satellites and radio towers. A little bit, a tiny bit. Yes, satellites are involved, but more importantly, there are people on the ground meeting, conspiring. This is their job. They get together every few days, every day. I don't know. Some givers, they have 3 shifts, uh, first shift, second shift, third shift, day shift, swing shift, and graveyard. They get together, they talk, they utilize these weapons, they utilize these softwares, the AI, all that, the Palantir, all that stuff. These people on the ground are doing this to you.
Yeah,
You're,
community-based agents.
yep, there's community-based agents, there's citizen informants, and then there's literal human traffickers who work through private security firms, right? And all of those together do this to you, all right? Along, yes, of course, they utilize the communications infrastructure, the satellites, all that. But it's not coming from the satellites, it's coming from people around you. And there'll be people like, and I don't want to, this is Look Out for Charlie is great. I love Look Out for Charlie. He'll never see this, but love Look Out for Charlie for a lot of reasons. A lot of people who know him, follow him. You know, he does great work for a long time, but he doesn't know about that part of it because he's not targeted. He's not going through what you're going through. Most of you that are listening to this.
Well, I want to know how I threw my phone away in Atlanta, jumped a train with no electronics on me, went to sleep, woke
It's
up in
easy.
Shreveport getting attacked, and I'm in the wilderness on a train walking back to the city. And then as soon as I got into the city, I'm being stalked, and I'm V2K never
It's
stopped and all
easy.
that.
I can explain this the way I know it.
Somebody
Uh,
followed the train.
yes, exactly. But more so
That's a
than
long
that,
way to follow the train.
that's what they do.
So you're
More than
saying
that,
somebody had a car and
physically
followed the train?
physically followed you and kept also, but also you were being recorded with those other the directed energy weapons, all that stuff. Yes, you were being tracked and surveilled through all that enemy of the state Will Smith movie stuff. That's all true. That all does exist. But there was also a guy or many people on the ground facilitating that technology. Those are just tools. They need human operators always. Always. There's no two ways about it. Uh, Personal story, real quick.
Do you not know
I
how
ha-
far Atlanta is from Shreveport?
I believe I traveled the world, man. I went to an island in a
I'm just,
lake in a country that is considered a terrorist country of United States. And these fuckers, excuse my language, these people followed me out there. Excuse my language, sorry about that. These Americans, Israelis, Costa Ricans in Nicaragua on an island in a lake, in the biggest one of the biggest lakes in the world. I was in an island on there, right? I had found some people to give me shelter. And these people followed me there. There were people on the ground. And guess what? Once they followed me there, what followed after? Everything else. The drones, the airplanes, the helicopters. But first, they had to be on the ground and they had to facilitate it. They had to set up the interactions with the airport, the boat port, like port, just a regular port, because I was on an island. They had to bribe the local politicians. They had to be there.
but I'm saying you said, so I'm in a train yard and this is a big train yard. There's
Yep,
like 50 trains. So they knew what train I was on. And
yep.
do you know how
Because you
hard it
were
is to follow a train? Trains don't go by roads
you were geolocated by
through a
your
satellite.
implants. Yes, through a satellite geolocation. Yes, 100%.
But how'd they do that without me having a phone or anything on me?
Because you got this stuff under your skin. Remember, number one, deactivating implants. You've got this stuff under your skin. All right. And beyond that, they might have the capacity, like some people have alluded to knowing something, some signature about you and following you beyond that, right? That might be a thing. I don't know. How would I know?
Right.
But
Because I needed
regardless,
my phone. I took a chance just to
yeah,
do a test. I said, I'm gonna throw it
yeah,
away just to take a
yeah.
chance, just to see.
I did the same thing before I left to go on my world trip. I'll talk about that real quick. But afterwards, they were so geolocated, and then there was a force on the ground that you were going in and out of these grids. So they would pick you up and follow you for 100 miles, 60 miles. Then the next team would pick you up for 60, 100 miles until you arrived in the next grid, Shriever, wherever you arrived at.
And they were already
And, and,
waiting.
and that grid was like, okay, yeah, we're here, we're on spot. And they had their drones circling ready. But it wasn't that the drone from wherever followed you there, it's that there was drones all along the way. You were moving through a grid. Okay, so
Okay.
one time I set up plans with my buddy to go to a wilderness area, and then I forgot. I forgot to tell my family about it. I forgot all about it. It was like God in it working in mysterious ways. Totally forgot. The day came, he showed up at my house with all of his stuff ready. And he goes, "Are you ready?" And I went, "Oh shit, excuse my language, sorry. I completely forgot." I said, I'll give me 10 minutes, I'll be ready. I got whatever. So I just threw some clothes in a bag. I was on disability from work at the time. As I was targeted, it was like 2020. I threw some clothes in a bag. I got in his car. We drove. They had no idea where I was going. The human traffickers, absolutely no idea. I didn't know where I was going. I forgot. You know what I mean? Until that moment, we were going to his one of his family's place that was way out in rural Oregon, one of the most rural places in the country. It's like rural Oregon, rural Nevada, Wyoming. It's about the same population, if you could imagine. Very, very low people. The south, very southwest or southeast of Oregon. Anyways, we were out there, not very south, but it was south central, southeast, doesn't matter. They literally, the literal same meth head tweaker bikers followed me literally from Vancouver, where I'm at, all the way down there because they had no idea what I was going to do. They needed to keep eyes on me. And because it was such a volatile situation of them having no idea where I was going, it was literally the same meth head biker, the same three of them. Yeah, go ahead.
I got another question for you.
Yeah.
So
So no, they're
some people
always on
know
the
this.
ground.
Some people
Yeah,
know this. 2018, I was in the Champlain Basin for 30 days lost in the
I remember
wilderness.
you telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, I nobody found me. 30 days, nobody was back there. So, but I heard V2K, but the weapons, but there's no power lines, there's no cell phone towers. Why didn't they come track me back there?
They were.
It was
They
30
were
days of
trackers.
peace back there. I'm talking about, I was having
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
I'm
They
lost
were.
in the swamp with gators and all that. It was just peace.
Yeah. They were tracking you back there. But
They
because
just
a
didn't
lot
want
of
to go
they
back
didn't
that
want to get
far.
dirty. They didn't want to
Okay.
get dirty. Yeah. They just were like, okay, he's in
But it
this
was like
area.
my body was at one with nature.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
weird.
But then check out. Right when you came close back to civilization again,
Mm-hmm.
they hit you really hard, didn't they?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Because they were releasing aerosols. Because they were the whole time they were chemtrailing you above you, trying to get, but you were in the trees, you were one with nature, right? But you came back towards the edge, like the roads and stuff, and then they had access again. So they turned everything way up as high as they could because they had been doing a bad job. They have bosses. Their bosses want results. What results do they want? They want you to be killed. They want you to kill someone out of anger. They want you to commit suicide. All the stuff that we already know.
You
They
want me to
they
tell you
have.
another weird
Yeah, go
aspect real
ahead.
quick?
Yeah, go
It
ahead.
was
Yeah.
like, look, everybody from that area told me that there's no way you live there 30 days sleeping on the floor, woods floor and survive. But it was like nature understood us. And I'm not just joking. It was like I walk up
Yeah.
on wild boars and they take off running. We're surrounded by gators at night. It was like nature was at one with us and understood because they knew they had nothing to fear. It was just a weird situation. Everybody says I shouldn't have made it out of there.
No, I believe it. That's why those guys didn't want to get in there. You these and then the guys, if you would have stayed longer, this is what they would have done. They would have brought in some old ex special forces dude. He
Yeah.
would have been 35, 45, 55, something like that. He would have gone in there wearing an invisibility cloak and followed you and tracked you, got real close to you, and then tried to get you out of there. He would have tried hurt you, whatever,
Run some psyops.
whatever, yeah, whatever would have got you out of there, right? And then if they could have never gotten you out of there, if you would have just stayed in the national forest as like Tarzan, they would have just killed you. They would have tried to kill you.
Right.
That's what they would have done next.
But it was like the animals and
Yeah,
everything just left me alone. It was just
yeah.
weird. Weird
I believe it.
situation.
When I was world traveling, I had that experience in Nicaragua quite a bit. I go to these remote islands, and I would just bounce around and I would just watch, everyone, all the interlopers, the Nicaragua government doesn't do this to their people. All right. So if you go to Nicaragua as a targeted person, it's the foreigners that are doing this, right? It has to be the foreign. Maybe that's changed in the last since I've been there last, but it probably has, knowing how this corruption spreads. But anyways, the only point I was bringing up with all that was to say there's always people on the ground facilitating this. You're not a targeted individual. You're a survivor of human trafficking. Let's use the right terminology because that's what it is. Who's doing it, right? What's the big question? Why and who, excuse me. Who's doing this? Well, it's an international operation by the so-called elites. The of yesteryear they were called monarchs. Today they run the corporations, the hedge funds, the banks. It's exactly who you think it is, blah, 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 blah. It's transnational. The people on the ground that are doing this to you are operating through private security firms. The private security firms have contracts through DHS, FBI, the fusion centers, again, everything you already know about. Okay. Most of them are former military, not all of them, most of them. Uh, the community based agents, so the citizen informants, they're mostly friends and family of those people that more or less get tricked into doing it. They think it's one thing, like that they're good guys doing a good mission. We're
Mm-hmm.
protecting our community, you know? And then I'm private, I'm Joe Law, and they're bad because they're
Want to
mentally
be
ill.
vigilantes.
Yeah, yeah. But then after a certain amount of time, 6 months, year, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, they figure it out. They figure it out. And when they figure it out, they have two options. To they get jumped out, meaning their life gets destroyed as they leave the apparatus. They'll literally get assaulted and mugged. Their houses will get burned down, that type of thing. Or more commonly, that does happen. A lot of people leave this when they figure it out. More commonly, though, what happens to people is they double down. They go from citizen informants to community based agents. Those are the people that are poisoning you when you go out to eat. They're literally putting uh, chemical compounds and heavy metals in your food. These are two-stage weapons. So you can eat it. Another person can eat it. They can eat it. They won't have crazy symptoms because it's not being activated with the electrostatic or magnetic fields. But for you, it is being activated, so you'll have crazy symptoms.
Right.
But they'll get cancer and die if they keep eating that stuff. It's not good for anybody, obviously. So it goes you citizen informant, which are usually friends and family of the human traffickers or whatever, however that works out. There's a lot of ways these people are recruited. Then they become community based agents when they basically lose hope and faith in society and themselves. And then over time, if they do really good, if they like it, they start making money, then they become part of the human trafficking rings themselves. Those are your neighbors. All right. The neighbors that aren't literal human traffickers, they've become in those human trafficking rings through this avenue.
And we're
This
talking
is
digital data traffickers, right? When you talk about human trafficking, a lot of people think, well, get kidnapped and that does happen.
you
But
well, Dave, what has your life been?
I
You have
know,
been,
but
you
I'm
have
talking
been,
about all
yeah,
targets don't experience the level I've experienced. But some of them are just
sure.
getting killed inside their home. Could you explain what you mean by that? Like
Yes,
digital.
when you are being killed inside your home, there are human operators facilitating that near you. That's human trafficking. It's just not one that we're familiar with because it's only been around for 20, 25 years, 20 years in
So
this
would you
form.
call it digital data collection? I,
Well, think of it like this. Think of it like this. Human trafficking is slavery. All right. S-
that's a
slaves
good way to.
are
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
slaves are for the design of the system to utilize them however they see fit. In sex trafficking, it's obvious it's for sex, right? That's sexual slavery, right? Okay. In the olden times when they would do this with black people, in the Native Americans and all that, and then some white people do whatever. I don't want to get into the politics of that. But it was for their labor, right? The slavery was for their labor, and then oftentimes for their reproduction. So it was those things too, sexual slavery, whatever. Today, what they're doing to you, number one, is they are hitting you with these weapons, yes, for data torture reasons, but ultimately to kill you. All right. So what is that? It's organ trafficking. That's what they're doing. They're organ trafficking you while you're alive as slow as they can. That's what it is. All right. We need to stop mincing words about this. This is a form of organ trafficking that we just, again, is brand new. So what I call it, I say it's neural weapons human trafficking. All right, because that's the most accurate description of it. All right.
I got to,
But
can I pee
when they
real quick?
start, when they,
Okay.
oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Boy, they're making it. Oh, it's hard to hold it.
Okay, so when they start these human trafficking operations on you or your family, it doesn't just end with the neural weapons. You'll hear about this from many people. I don't want to get into the graphic detail nature of it,
Right.
but break-ins that result in sexual assaults, uh, various, oh geez, like I said, I don't want to traumatize people here, but
Yeah.
kidnappings, all the other things. That's because the people that are involved in this pedophilia, they aren't just neural weapons human trafficking. They're human traffickers. One of the things they do, the greater organization, is neural weapons. The people near you, many of them only do neural weapons, but their bosses, right, the people that run the Fed through these private security contractors, that run these corporate private military corporations, no, they're doing everything. They just look into the Epstein files if you don't believe me. Epstein stuff over here, right here, what's happening to you, right there. It's running parallel. Actually, it's going like this. It's running parallel, intersecting, running parallel, intersecting. All right. This is all the same network. We need to stop mincing our words about this. We are survivors of human trafficking and tell the public until we can accurately describe what's happening to us. How will the public be ever able to understand it? That being said, really quickly before we go into the wearables, this Amy Eskridge, God rest her soul, you know, has done more for neuroweapons human trafficking awareness than anything in the last since Myron May. You know, what all her videos are going out right now. She was a survivor, and she wasn't the most. She didn't know about the nano machinery and all that, but she did know enough, and she was the right type of person for the public to believe it would happen to her. It's perfect timing. Everything is lining up right now for us to break through. We understand how it's working. The public is understanding that it's happening. It's just everything's lining up. We've got to, and I'm sorry I'm getting off here, but we really got to push, and really utilize this information. I'm looking down at the wearable stuff. Utilize this information to get us through, this moment. Because when enough of us stabilize, it's just going to be a matter of time. So, anyways, Dave, you got your stuff?
Yep.
You want to
I got
start?
the wire, a whole spool of wire.
Okay, so the first to transmit electrostatic energy, that's the vibrations. That's what it feels like. When you're being hit with that heavy vibrations, that's electrostatic energy weaponized against you. The coughing is the aerosols that me and Dave were talking about earlier. I would advise that you move your vehicle to a different location if you could, or if you could get out of it and get into a house. I know I lived in a thing for 2 years, a van, and I was dealing with more or less the same thing. If you can't do either one of those things, can't change the outer environment, then I would say work on exactly what we're talking about today. Go to Onionhead Andrew on Rumble or YouTube and start looking and reviewing the information. When you understand what's going on with your body, it demystifies the whole thing.
And now
It's
I
not,
can say,
yeah.
oh, well, go ahead,
No,
finish.
you finish. You go ahead.
Oh,
Quit
well,
rambling.
Holly had a call for when I first got with her. She had a call. We thought she had bronchitis, a respiratory issue for like not 6 months, like a nonstop call. Every doctor, and come to find out, she had a nodule from her thyroid pushing on her
Mhm.
throat nerve, and
Mhm.
she had thyroid, the C word, and she
Yeah.
had to
Okay.
get
So, hey,
removed. And the doctor said, "Where did you come in contact with all this radiation? Because you have,
uh,
oh, yeah,
yeah, we got to be really careful for Dave's sake here talking
yeah,
about this. But I will say this, the lymphatic system that the thyroid is part of drains particulate. So oftentimes we'll get swollen, right? Because the lymphatics will need to be drained. If they don't get drained, you get certain illnesses. That's all I'll
Right.
say because I
Yeah,
don't want.
yeah.
So it fits right into what we were just talking about breathing crap. All right, it fits perfectly into it. You'll see right here. I got the beard right now, but Dave, you'll see on your body right here will get swollen a lot, especially on the left side.
No,
Right?
this is a knot. These were not on our thigh, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I had. I see. I don't want to get you in trouble. I had
Yeah.
nodules on the back of my head at one point, and that's where I'll leave it because I don't want to get you in. I got rid of them though. They're all, I can't
Yeah,
say
she had to
anymore.
have her thing removed.
Yeah, yeah, I can't.
I know.
This is exactly what gets because this is the information they absolutely don't want you to understand. This is the thing. They don't care about anything else really, but they want everyone to die in this thing that's this nanotech genocide that's happening right now. They don't even care that I tell you that. They care when I start telling you how to solve it, right? When I get
Right.
into the actual body part of it. But anyways,
I
you can
definitely
go,
can feel it. Anybody who says they can't feel effects from doing that is going to be crazy because I feel effects
yeah,
all the way to
100%.
my
It's real.
head.
Yeah, because it's burning up all those little configurements of nanomachinery. See, when we talk about nanomachinery, we talk about the smart dust aspect of it, right? But we don't talk about the nanowalker aspect of it because the nanowalker part is so freaky and out there. But these nanowalkers, they're like, again, I keep holding up my hands. I don't know why. They're like the size of molecules. They're literally the size of DNA. There's ones that are rollers that can roll through the environment, and then there's other ones that just walk. Okay. When in the aerosols, one of the things they're doing is they're releasing these nanowalkers. They crawl on you and in you. Okay. Dave, this is what since you used the stun gun, this has been the main way that they've been attacking you through these nanowalkers. All right.
Right.
Took me a long time to put all this together in a way that I could speak about. But these and I got and if you want to see the source on it, Robert McCrae, The War Inside Your Mind. Robert McCrae. All right, he died to give us this information. I think, I don't know. But he disclosed this information and then he was dead within a year. All right. And he was one of those insiders. He was like 70 years old at the end of his army, his lifelong army career. All right. He told the public this information. Within a year and a half, he was dead. Okay. So, anyways, these nanowalkers, they crawl on you and in you. It's the war inside your mind. On you and in you. They crawl into your eyes, your mouth, wherever, genitalia. What's that sound like, guys? That's how the sex attack is happening, right? But anyways, that's how they're doing a lot of it. Is these nanowalkers. They crawl in and on you. They stop wherever they stop. They deposit a little bit of conductive material. So when Dave puts that pot lid with a little bit of electricity, what it's doing is it's burning up all that little bit of conductive material. It's like a wire in the wall that's got too much electricity in it.
And
It's burning up.
how did you figure all this out?
Dude, it's 10 years, man. Literally, you can go back on the Rumble channel. I've got it all sourced how I figured it out for the last 3 years, but it took me, 4 or 5 years before it to even be able to understand what to look for.
Yeah, I definitely feel, man, that's
It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm gonna try it for an hour straight here in a little while. Cause man, my
Okay.
head like it's like my whole body just feels like lighter or just like
Yeah,
it's
the pressure is coming off you.
yeah.
Because the magnetic field is literally coming off. That's what it feels like. Okay,
Now, is
so
there a certain kind? Like? Can you?
uh
Is there Pyrex good? Which better? Like
experiment, but in
okay.
general, the clearer, thicker glass is the best. That being said, this is important, imperative. They will change what they're doing, and they will switch from magnetic to electrostatic. What does electrostatic feel like? It feels like rapid pulses, like that lady was talking about. So that was a very apropos question because that's exactly what it feels like. When you wake up at night and you're vibrating, that's what it is. You were talking to me a while ago, Dave. You were saying it feels like my bones are vibrating.
Oh yeah, it was that deep.
That's the electrostatic. All right. That's they got all that crap in you, and then they hit it with the electrostatic and make it rapidly pulse like that. The
So the person
magnetic,
in the bus, if she done that, would she stop vibrating?
yeah, yeah. The magnetic attack, it feels like what you're experiencing right now, Dave, where it's there, it's like a heavy weight on everything. That's what a magnetic attack feels like. It's not like super snappy like the electrostatic. The electrostatic is bam, 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 right? Wakes you up, keeps you up, that type of thing. The magnetic is a slow, constant droll. It's like a oppressive, pushing feeling. It's just constantly grinding you from the inside out.
Well, let
So
me
you
ask you this. I got
you
my
got to
idea of
learn the
how they
different feeling. What
I got my idea of how they do it, but a lot of people, how do you deal with sleep deprivation?
with the wearables, the wearables, and then
They allow
if
you to
they
sleep? Because
well
that's the
I they
worst, man. When you ain't got no, man, it's so you're
when they
drained, you're
so
tired, your mind can't think.
they don't allow me to do anything really. But the trick with that is that when all that's going on in your body, it's because you've got conductive pathways. Once you break apart those conductive pathways, it becomes way less negligible. So right now they're attacking me as hard as they can. And then the whole last 12 hours is because Saturday's my big day. I got the class. I was going to talk to you, blah, 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 blah. They attack me as hard as they can, right? The difference between me being able to function in this conversation and not is the wearables,
Right.
breaking apart these conductive pathways.
All
That's
right.
everything. But
And I think I got,
I'm still breathing this crap. It's literally burning my throat as we talk.
and I got one more question. And
Mhm.
could you explain, like, every target don't go through the same thing? Like, um, could you explain that? What your opinion
Yeah.
is? I got
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
opinion. I think they do that for one, different studies for different kind of profiling, and for two, to keep us all separated and apart. Because we do a
Mhm.
lot of comparing. Oh, he's not going through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I think generally speaking, you're right. To get more specific about it, this is what I was saying earlier. This is human trafficking, and it's a type of organ trafficking. Again, I call it neural weapons human trafficking, but really, ultimately, it's organ trafficking. Okay, they're going to want to have different reasons for utilizing your body from person to person. Now, if you're a 20-year-old female, unfortunately, that's going to be through, usually, not always, be for monstrous sex stuff, just the most depraved. That's the type of, they will be targeting the genitalia, all that, you know what I'm saying? It's gross. If you're an older man, they're going to be doing that. They're going to be doing that too, but they're going to be more targeting your heart to cause a heart attack, your brain to cause the way you think to change. They'll always be doing that. Um, Potentially your liver if you've been a lifelong drinker, potentially your kidney if you were like a welder that was exposed to bad fumes, whatever. They're going to try to make the most amount of money off you as possible in any given situation. And what they're looking for is outcomes, right? Can they get you to date a honeypot? Can they get you to drive your car off a bridge? Can they get you to hang yourself? Can they get you to get into a fight with your neighbor? Can they get you arrested? Can they get you to see what I'm saying? The
hmm
the outcomes are endless because all of these outcomes are derived through targeting different organs with different energies at different times. But that being said, it's all happening the same way through implants, nanomachinery, and directed energy weapons. It's always happening through those three things confluence. What outcome they want, what outcome they're trying to derive is different. I'll say this about myself. When I was first targeted, before it went over, but there was people following me around and stuff. So like the full targeting, but before it went over, the human traffickers were out there. They were trying to get me to hurt someone. All right. I won't get into the specifics of it, but there was someone in my family that had been a pedophile. Sorry, I guess I am getting the specifics. That was part of these human trafficking rings. Okay. That's how this entered my life, is way back in 1992. These people have been operating in my life. They've been, I've been dealing with these people forever. Okay. A lot of us have. It's not just me. This person was a liability to the human trafficking ring he was a part of. One of the jobs he had was to find children to be, assaulted and stuff. He was no longer finding children, and he had a big mouth. He loved talking. So when they targeted me, one of the outcomes they were going for originally was to get me to hurt this person, to do their work for them, because this person really did do certain things, you know, that were very, very bad, that any regular person would be very, very upset. Well, I never did that. Of course, I didn't do that. I this was before God was really in my life, but even back then, I was praying for answers, and the answers I had was leave it alone. Let these wicked people deal with themselves. The next thing they tried to do to me is just to make me go insane. Poison my food, poison. I was smoking tobacco and I think I'm gonna say it, marijuana at that time. I was like 23, 24. They were poisoning my food, poisoning my smoke. They were poisoning my bed, my clothing, all this stuff. And I had no idea what was going on. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Ended up getting myself, in that situation. They were trying to get me arrested, trying to get me in that situation, whatever. The next thing they did, you see, it's always like, what can we get? The next thing they did was try to get me to stop working, try to cause an on-site work injury. They would literally turn stoves and burners on in the apartments I used to be a maintenance man, a renovation slash maintenance man, right? And I can tell you how that works. If anyone's curious about how these people get jobs at these apartment complexes, these perps, as maintenance man, I'll tell you how that works because I saw it firsthand. But either way, they would turn on the stoves and the burners to these apartments so that they would start fires and in the complexes. They didn't care. They didn't care if they were killing anybody. They didn't care if there was a family the next apartment complex over. They were just totally fine with burning the whole thing down so that I would lose my job and be considered an arsonist. At one of the job sites I went to, sorry, I'm talking about myself so much, but they went to a trailer that I was working on. We would work on trailers, renovate them too. It was like part of a construction company slash maintenance slash whatever. And they burned down a trailer just to label me as an arsonist. Literally burned it down to the ground. Right. And they did that right before I came into this small town where this trailer park was at, so that all the local cops and security and all that, all the private military will go, he's an arson. Look what he just did. He burned down this trailer. They burned down the trailer in this trailer park. They could have lit the whole trailer park on fire. In fact, they almost did. I was there cleaning up their mess the next day. They did that the day I came into that town, literally the day. And then they lied to everyone and said I got there that morning instead of that night. I got there 2 hours after they did it or whatever. It
Wow.
was something like that. So, anyways, that's what I'm talking about. They'll derive outcomes specific to your situation to get the most money or the most effect that they can. So, at that point, what were they doing when they were burning, trying to start all these fires? Well, I was a wildland firefighter. So, one of the lies they were saying about me was that I got into firefighting because I was secretly an arsonist. It's an old thing that they've been saying about wildland firefighters a long time because some people did it some places, sometime, whatever, doesn't matter. What they were doing is they were trafficking me, right? They were literally going around hitting me with the directed energy, making me feel crazy, and then starting all these fires so that they could get as much money from the federal government into all these to build the system into all these different communities. All right, which is what the one thing that they're doing all the time. So they're always looking for different angles. The people that do this, the pedophiles in your area that are doing this are always looking for angles. They're not dumb people. There's nothing about the people. People will get on, and I'll stop ranting right after this. Sorry. People will get on and they'll go, "Oh, my attackers are so dumb. I know exactly what they're doing." So no, they're not dumb people. They're not. The people on the ground that they put in front of you oftentimes are dumb. The people that are organizing these things are as smart as the smartest person you know. They're not dumb. They're compromised. They're pedophiles. They're nasty. They got all that nastiness and wickedness in them. Sorry for ranting.
Uh, no, that. See, they all. I could go into stories like that too, man. It's just like
Yeah.
all kinds of BS. So you think they're actually the people who are not getting, well, it is a slow kill, no, we won't go into them aspects, but it's all data collection too, right?
There is
And
to
dark
all
and
torture.
voyeurism.
Yes, exactly. To all torture, there is an aspect of data collection, experimentation. All torture has that a part of it. Think
I
about that.
wouldn't be surprised if they didn't record the whole episode in the woods.
Oh, I guarantee they're going to watch this. They're
No, I'm
watching
talking
every.
about in the woods in Louisiana,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
watching, like look at them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they
Yeah,
do that too. They definitely do. They all that stuff. However, they can make as much money as possible or just get off. Like, I mean, a lot of these people, not all of them, but a lot of them are perverts. They're drug addicts. They're exactly what you think. Like I said, I've been dealing with these groups of people since 1992. I can say firsthand, knowing these people in and around my family, right? It's exactly what you think of. Like take the Epstein stuff and then bring it into your local county, and you get a good idea of what's happening, what's really going on. The neural weapons is just the butter on that bread. The bread
yeah,
is the whole is already there. Go ahead.
and I guess the guy who asked exactly what to buy to block it so we can sleep without being microwaved to death. Would you advise what we just talked about so he could sleep? That's the
Yeah,
last
but
question.
no, that's not going to be the final solution. It's going to lead you to the final solution, which is understanding when you're being attacked with electrostatic, magnetic, or electric. If you understand that, then you'll figure out everything else the more you move through these wearables ideas and you go to Onion Andrew on Rumble or YouTube and start looking at this stuff yourself. I'm not the only person that's doing this. There's probably give or take 40, 50 people following the paradigm that I've brought up today. There's probably even more people that I'm not in contact with that are doing it. There's usually 30, 40, 50 people on the calls, come on the call, which is a class. I usually run as a class, listen to the Q&As, listen to other people, but you got to feel it yourself. It's like we're talking about, this is the way I explain it. We're talking about skiing or like playing basketball or whatever. You need to go out there and do it now. You need to
Right.
go out there and ski. You need to apply this information to learn for yourself.
I know my body feels relaxed, and I held it there for about 15 minutes. I mean, I haven't done, but when we get off, I'm gonna hold it longer. But like my whole
Look
body
out.
like feels relaxed right now. It's weird.
Okay. This is a gift from God. It's only through the grace of God have I been able to present all of this information. Uh, you see how simple the solutions are? That's how all this is going to go from here on out. It's always been like that. It has nothing to do with me. They devised these super advanced weapon systems. Again, yes, I know satellites and radio tower, all that stuff's involved. Yeah, sure, whatever. Right? You can counter it with these simple materials if you know what's happening accurately.
Now you can't stop the psychological operations when you go out.
No,
There's
no,
different. I
because
try to teach people how
yeah,
to deal with that, how to overcome their
yeah,
sensitizations and
yeah. Because
not
because I
react.
can't
And
I can't I can't physically control the free will of these people doing these things.
right,
I can't stop them from aiming the directed energy weapons at us. I can't stop them from trying to drive me off the road. But what I can do is when I get into those situations, I can pray and I can look for the answers and I can use you know what I'm saying? It's like we've all got free will, right? I'm not promising that this is the end of targeting. I'm saying this is the way you understand the directed energy weapon accessing your body. That's all we're talking about, right? Really.
right. Well, that's about all I got, man. I think it was I thank you for coming out. I think it was an awesome interview, and if somebody says they don't feel nothing when they do that, they got to be insane, or maybe they're not being attacked in that way, or uh,
Expect a lot of pushback, Dave. A lot of pushback because this is like the stun gun. I've
right.
there's been a lot of pushback from a lot of fake targets and stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I got thick
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you talking about like trolls and all that.
Well, that and everything. And then the human traffickers in your area too. This is the thing that's really setting them off. They're breaking into people's houses right now and stealing these pot lids. Just like you can steal the pot lid. They can go to Goodwill and get another one for $1. You
Right.
know? It's like, what are you
Huh.
doing?
Right.
That's these people are, they're very upset about this. But who cares about them? Let's stabilize ourselves, and then let's move forward from there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to show this to Holly too. Um, but I really thank you for coming out and answering them questions. I wish there were more questions. I'm gonna check one more time. No, no
Well,
questions.
hey, I'm sure you're gonna have more in the next few weeks. We can just do something again as like an update if you want to know more. Maybe you go on the Rumble channel, start working your way through this information, start understanding it, and then you'll have more of that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you for coming out, man. And yeah, I can handle the trolls.
Yeah.
Uh, we've dealt with them long enough. They're easy to handle.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna
They get
stop.
me every now and then. They do,
Right.
dude. Yeah, they'll get
You,
you every now and then.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they'll get under your skin every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got anything else?
No.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording and we can say our goodbyes.